Hello everyone and welcome to Holistic Healing with Deepshikha. Aristotle, the legendary Greek philosopher, said, "Man is by nature a social animal." For the longest time, for various reasons, depending on the stages of evolution, humans have always lived in groups. In this podcast episode, let us try to discuss the intricate web of human relationships. From familial bonds to friendships, romantic entanglements to professional connection, exploring the psychological, biological, and emotional aspects that shape these connections, shedding light on what makes them both beautiful and challenging. Over the period of the history of humankind, the nature of human relationships has changed. Our ancestors found bonds for survival, and as and how the humans developed, so did the nature of these relations. And some may say that they evolved from the basic nature of survival to more complex social structures. Though, if I am asked, I believe that relations can be the simplest and the most natural thing that a human can ever be involved in. Something very similar to breathing and eating and probably all those mundane things that make life life. In fact, the need for relations isn't purely social. According to neuroscience, brain chemicals like oxytocin and dopamine that play a crucial role in forming and maintaining bonds not only reinforce positive connections but also make us more resilient to stress when surrounded by loved ones. Now the question is, if relationships are not just a social requirement but also an emotional one, then why is it that so many of us these days run away from them? I mean, even I have done that. We give ourselves various excuses like being devoid of time, needing own space, concentrating on career, and so on and so forth. And mind you, when I say this, I'm in no way questioning anyone's personal choices, but simply stating the reasons that I gave myself. But all in all, I have now realized that relationships are not complex. What makes them difficult is the expectations we have. Especially these days when so many of us are living in a nuclear setup where the days are spent working and we tend to live from one weekend to another. So earlier the needs that were fulfilled by a community are now expected to be fulfilled by that one person who we call our partner. We expect that one person to be a friend, but we are quick to judge if they share something with us. We expect them to be the mature person in our life. But when it comes to doing the same, we often just put it as the person being difficult. We want that one person to be available for us 24/7. But when it comes to doing the same, we call it invading our space. And the list can go on and on and on. I know all this sounds very complicated. But then, you might ask, why did I call relationships simple towards the start of the episode? And that's because there's a very simple rule. If you feel something, say it. Don't expect the person to just know. Recently, I was listening to a podcast in which this lady was talking about how she and her partner navigate through their relationship. And what they do is that when something happens or when one person comes home from maybe a busy day at office or a difficult day outside doing whatever, that person communicates to the partner clearly specifying how much of an effort are they up to at that point of time. So let's say, if I have had a difficult day and I don't have the energy, I spell it out for my partner saying that I can maybe do 20% today. So my partner does the balance 80. And on days when both of us are not being our best selves, both of us do what we can and still support and understand each other. Because relationships are never 50-50. It's different on different days. Some days it is 20-80, some days it is 60-40, and maybe on some days also 50-50. But to expect it to always be 50-50 is simply having a very high expectation. So no matter which relationship I am to talk about, communication is the one skill that you need. There are a number of skills that can be listed, but communication is the one at the heart of each and every one of those skills. And not just communication, but communicating effectively. And that can be done only if you know yourself, if you're aware of yourself, If you can understand as to why a certain event or situation makes you feel the way it does, or why does something trigger you, only then can you communicate. And that takes time. It takes time to know oneself. It requires deliberate efforts to spend time alone to figure out all those parts of oneself which are so easy to neglect. It requires one to truly be in love with your own self to be able to love someone. By saying this, I am in no way belittling anyone's journey. At times, we also need others to show us how much we can be loved, to be able to navigate different situations. But eventually, we have to love ourselves. Unapologetically, unabashedly, romanticize every little thing about yourself. That being who you are becomes a joy. And there are so many ways to do it. To start with is to meditate, journal, live in awareness, and so on and so forth. And I have already spoken about all these things that one can do to raise one's vibration and live a life in awareness in prior episodes. So I will not get into the details of it in this one. But I do think that self-love is a topic that probably needs an entire episode to be dedicated to it. So as I end this episode, I hope that this was something that you could resonate with, or at least gave you a new perspective on relationships. If you enjoyed this episode, please do leave a review and share it with your loved ones. Wishing you a great week ahead.